Minnesota Vikings request interview with another defensive coordinator. Let's talk about who that is. Welcome back to the Onebar and Lupagus show. I am Lupagus. Minnesota Vikings requesting interviews already with Brian Flores. They added another one to the mix, requesting an interview with the Saints co-defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen. We'll get you all caught up on exactly who he is and what he brings to the table. Before we do that, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the vids. Subscription's been coming in hot and heavy. Keep that going. Also, check out That's Badass What Art on Twitter. Follow them up. We'll be giving away 2 other pieces at the end of the month. I don't have the pictures Onebar does, but they're fantastic. It's a skull sign. It's also a Minnesota Vikings bottle opener. Absolutely beautifully done. So check that out. That's badass. Go give them a follow on Twitter and tell them Onebar and Lupagus sent you. All right, let's talk about Ryan Nielsen, the Vikings' latest request for an interview to be their new defensive coordinator. Who the hell is Ryan Nielsen? I'll tell you what, he ain't as sexy as Brian Flores. Definitely not the sexy big name that he is, but Ryan Nielsen. Let's get to know him a little bit here. So he is currently the co-defensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints, one of our most hated rivals in the NFL. Hate the Saints. I always will. That's never going to stop. But let's see who this Ryan Nielsen character is. He played defensive tackle in college at USC. Out of college, he signed with the Eagles. He did not make it out of camp. He was a defensive tackle. Coaching career, he was a volunteer assistant in USC in 2002, administrative assistant at Idaho, graduate assistant at Ole Miss, D-line coach at Ole Miss. He spent some time at Central Connecticut State, one of the powerhouses of whatever the hell conference they're in, and UT Martin. I think I saw UT Martin at the local town mart. Then he spent time at Northern Illinois in the 2011 as co-defensive coordinator. He was a defensive line coach at NC State in 2013 and also run game coordinator in 2014. He became the defensive line coach for the Saints in 2017, also given the title of assistant head coach in 2021, and then became the co-defensive coordinator for the Saints in 2022. So a guy who's, he really put his time in here. This was started out in 2002, worked his way up the ranks, some various organizations, some more prominent than the others, eventually making his way to the New Orleans Saints. So a guy who has worked his way up the coaching ladder. Let's talk about the Saints defense last year. Defense in 2022, they were 5th in total defense, allowed 314 yards per game. They were 24th against the run, so not great there, but they averaged 184.4 pass yards allowed in per game, which was second best in the entire NFL. So for the team that couldn't shut down the New York Giants, who look like pathetic offense tonight against the Eagles, nice to see that his secondary held opposing teams to just 184 yards per game. That's pretty damn impressive. He does run a 4-3 base front. So Ryan Nielsen, Vikings requesting an interview again. Brian Flores, a much more known commodity, a much more sexier name, but Ryan Nielsen definitely in the mix as well. I'm sure more names are going to come in here before the Vikings actually make a decision. We'll be all over those. So let us know what you feel about Ryan Nielsen. Do you think this is a good fit for Minnesota Vikings and their defense? Personally, you know what? Anybody other than Ed Donatel, I just need somebody who's going to work with what he has and not just throw the same old base formation out there every single week. So as long as Ryan Nielsen's ready to mold this thing to whatever works best, you know what? I'm open to anything at this point, but we'll see where this goes. Ryan Nielsen, your latest candidate to be Vikings defensive coordinator. Let us know what you think with that. And also don't forget to hit up That's Badass What Art and drop hashtag badass in the comments for your chance to win one of those beautiful pieces. All right. That is it. That is your Ryan Nielsen. A little update on who he is. And here's a little update for you, too. Keep your skull in your hole.